Hey y'all, today the video is going to be a little bit different. It's still going to be about plants, but today it's going to be about house plants. During the summertime, I like to move my house plants outside because, well, I'm outside most of the time, and inside they seem to get neglected during the summertime. So I move them outside, and then that way they're just easier to take care of when I take care of them when I take care of all the rest of the plants. And I have quite a few house plants. Most of them are hanging plants. Um, and so I'm going to show y'all what I do because, I don't want to just move them right back in the house. During the summertime, they might get bugs on them, and I don't want to bring that mess in the house. So, uh, I have to, there's several things that I do before I bring them in, and I'm going to show y'all, what I do to prepare them to be brought back in the house because we are expecting in a couple of days, we're supposed to get down in the 30s. And so it's time to bring them back in. And so let me show y'all what I'm going to do first. Okay, first thing that I like to do is I take the water hose and I put a spray head on it so I can set it to spray at a higher pressure because you want to try to spray off, if there's any bugs on there, on the leaves and things, you can usually get them off just by spraying with, at a higher pressure with just the water. That's going to knock quite a few of them off. So I'm just going to hose them down really good, just like that. And I'm going to want to do all of them that way. This is especially good if you have mealybugs. This will knock a lot of the mealybugs off. I've not inspected these, so I don't know if they've got mealybugs, but, that's something that we deal with around here on a lot of the plants in the summertime. So I want to try to knock as many of those off as I can. So let me get this done, and then I'll bring y'all back. Okay, once you get them sprayed down really good, if they need watering, you want to go ahead and do that now, because when you do the next step, you're not going to want to wash it off. And so if they need watering, just go ahead and do that now. And then you're gonna let them drip dry for just maybe however long it takes them to drip dry. They don't have to be completely dry, but you want the leaves to be mostly dry. I just wanted to show y'all, besides a lot of these that are on the ground hang too. There's 2 or 3 that don't hang, but all the rest of them are hanging pots. You can see I've got quite a few, besides the ones that were hanging up that you saw first. I wanted to show y'all something interesting. This is a kangaroo paw fern, and even though it's a house plant, ferns do what ferns do. And you can see right here, this one is, well, it's kind of like seeding. That's what I call it. You actually could, put these in a container with some soil and put a lid on it. You actually could grow ferns from that. I'm not going to mess with that. This is the first time I've actually saw this one do that. And I also wanted to show y'all this. This TriStar Stromanthe. It actually has a verbena in it. If you can see this. And I'm just going to leave it in there. I may cut it back or I may not. It'd be interesting just to see what it does in the house in the wintertime. But it was white. It was blooming white during the summertime. And I've never bought white verbena. And so, in fact, I've only bought maybe four different kinds, and they were all colored. One was raspberry, one was cobalt, and the other two were the two colors, like the sparkling rose and the amethyst. They were both proven winners. All four of those that I said were proven winners, actually. And they're not supposed to seed. They're not supposed to drop seed, but they do. And I know that the white one came from, I'm not sure if it came from the sparkling rose or the amethyst, but I know it came from one or the other, or maybe both, because I actually have 4 or 5 different places where they dropped seed last year and they came up, and this is one of them, because it just popped up in this flower pot in the, over in the late spring, and I knew I didn't plant it there, but I knew what I grew last year near it. And so, it was interesting that those were not supposed to seed, and they did. And, they've done great. They bloomed really pretty all summer, in all the different places that they came up. But anyways, I just thought that was interesting, and I wanted to show y'all that before I go on to this next step. I'm still waiting for them to, dry just a little bit more. Okay, some of these are dry enough to go ahead and spray. And I'm going to show y'all what I'm going to use. I like to use one of these sprayers. I got this one at the Dollar General. You can buy them at Walmart, Dollar General. They have them online, they're just a few dollars. But I really like these because they're small enough to where, it's not, it doesn't really hurt your hand, like if you're holding a gallon jug or something. These are just real handy. And you're not going to use that, if you've got quite a few house plants, you're probably going to end up using pretty much the majority of this because, of whatever you put in it, because you really don't want to let your, these containers, sprayers, stay full of poison or not really poison. I'm not using poison. But whatever chemical you're putting in it, you really don't want to leave it in there too long because it will gunk up the little sprayer, and then you have to take it all apart and clean it. What I'm going to be using today is the neem oil. And I like to do this outside before I bring them in because it takes care of, so many of the insects. But I don't like doing this in the house once I bring them in. Like I would have to hang them in the shower or something. The neem oil, to me, I don't like the way it smells. But I do like the way it works. Now, if you don't want to use neem oil, there's different versions of Captain Jack's. You can use BT. There's different things that you can use. These are more organic, more organic things that you can use. And the neem oil is one that I've used for, years, really. And I like it. I just don't like the way it smells. And so, you just follow the directions, basically, of whatever it tells you to mix it. I've done this so long till I just pour a little bit. I don't really measure it anymore. But I would say to this, for this little sprayer here, I would probably do just a capful of this. That would be probably the equivalent that I would use. And so I'm gonna get this filled in here and some water added, because you're gonna mix it with water, and then I will bring y'all back. Also, I want to say that I moved my plants into the carport about a week ago because I knew soon we were gonna, should be getting some much cooler weather. So about a week ago, I'd went ahead and moved them into the carport to let them kindly dry out a little bit. Because if you let the top few inches dry out in your pots, you won't be bringing in gnats. Gnats will get in your pots during the summertime, especially if they're staying, more damp. So you don't want to bring in a bunch of gnats. So if you can set them somewhere where you can let them dry out, not completely, just the first, 2 or 3 inches of the soil dry out, because the gnats tend to want to stay in the top part of the soil. And this will just help keep you from bringing in a bunch of fungus gnats when you get ready to bring your house plants in. Another thing I like about these sprayers is, it pumps. You just pump it up. Anyways, I'm just going to give these a good spray. You want to try to spray, but if you can get as much of the underside of the leaves as you can when you're spraying it, that's great. But I'm just going to give them a good spray where I spray them till they're kindly dripping, dripping the neem mixed with water, and then I'm just going to let them dry. And you don't want to do this on a windy day because it's going to come right back all over you. And so I'm just going to give them a good little spray down just like this. And you'll want to do all the way around. You want to make sure you get the whole plant. And you also don't want to do this where they're going to be, if you're going to leave them outside for a few hours, you don't want to do this when it's real sunny. Like, you would want to do this in the afternoon if they're going to be where they're going to have sun hitting them for several hours. Because it is oil and it can, the sun can burn the leaves. So just, either do it in the morning time or late in the afternoon, or hang them somewhere where, the sun is not going to be hitting them directly for, the next couple of hours or whatever while you're letting this dry on the leaves. And so that's really all there are to it. Once it's dry, or dry enough to where they're not dripping, just move your plants back inside. And you wouldn't want to leave them out too many hours. Like, don't do them and then leave them out for 2 days, because you're probably going to get insects back on them then. You want to move them back in the same day that you do this, or at least the next morning if you do it late in the afternoon. And so if you were, if you moved some of your houseplants out and you were looking for ways to try to keep down the insects before you bring them back in the house, this method works pretty good for me. And so until next time, bye.